Hi guys, welcome to my review of the 7th and final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This will be a non-spoiler review. Season 7 follows the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents as they try to prevent an alien occupation while stranded in time. All the seasons have been around aliens or whatever, but never have they been involved with time travel, so this was a very unique season. Also that it is the final season, but the important thing is it any good? And I can confirm that this season is good and consistent, just like all the other seasons. You know, I'm quite a sucker for time travel stories, whether that's in a movie or a TV show, so I just found this season very enjoyable. I love seeing modern day people go back in time to a certain year in the past, let alone several decades in the past. Jeez, we'll spoil the choice here. But when they do travel back in time, you can really sense it is that time just through all the different vibes you get off it, the tone, whether that's their clothes, the look of the town or area that they're in, the way they talk or what they actually talk about, or just whether you see the different cars through the generations. All that is very well done and is very important to making this feel like it is back in time. They even include a black and white episode which ties into what happens with a character, but still it's quite funny and I actually really enjoyed it as well. You can't forget all the different references they have to that time period. There were constant references to people thinking that the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents were communists. I know it is a sensitive subject, but they actually did well to acknowledge about the discrimination back in that day. They didn't put it in the spotlight too much as it's not that type of show, but they did acknowledge it a tiny bit with Mac. And just to top it all off, the title cards, the intros to all the episodes were very much themed around the years involved. Now I'll chuck a few of them up on the screen, but it was a lot of fun and it made you smile a lot. Since he's joined the team, I thought Deke wasn't really needed much. I thought he was only needed for the season where he came in. After that, I couldn't see much use for him and it looked like that. I think that was purposely done by Marvel for this season where he kind of has a little bit of an arc. You know, in previous seasons he was kind of just there, but this season he can use his intelligence to help the team. You know, the times he did get a bit distracted, especially in the 80s, but all in all, the development of Deke in this season was very fun and vital to the storyline, and he became one of my more likable characters this season. Another character that I find very likable, like many people do, is Enoch, the Chromicon. Don't tell him that, we'll get annoyed. Once again, he was also vital to the team's plan. Yeah, as I said, he isn't human, but some of his emotions seemed very human and it was very touching. I think Joel Stoffer played him very, very well. You know, there's one thing pretending to be a robot in a human skin, but then there's also being a robot in that human skin, so you know, you can just act normal and say, oh, it's a robot, but no. Joel Stoffer portrayed a robot in a human's body very well. You know, the movement, when he walked, he looked very robotic. One thing that I think he aced was his facial expressions. There was always no expression on it. There was never a sign of him being annoyed, sad, happy. It was always this straight face with no emotion on it. And also his voice, just the way he talks and through whether that's the sound or the words he says, they really do feel like a robot or Chromicon in this sense. Also, when he engages in fights, he's very robotic with the way he just walks towards them. Once again, I think he did a great job and it was quite underrated. Before they released this season, it was always intended to be their last season. You know, they weren't going until they dipped in quality. They just wanted to end it on a high note, one last season, so they knew this would be the farewell, so they purposely added in some very emotional moments which were very powerful. Whenever the characters were reunited from being separated, you could see how much they meant to each other. Just the chemistry that all the characters have together. You can see the importance to every single person individually. So Mac was inexperienced as director in season 6. That was his first season, we got to see him as director, but in this season he feels more in charge as he's more comfortable. Although he does make some rash decisions, he is still a great leader in this season, and you can see why Coulson chose him to take over. This season became a lot better when it stopped trying to connect every single thing to the MCU, but it doesn't distance itself completely from it. It still has some nice little Easter eggs which we do enjoy. It even had a character from another Marvel property come into the show who I thought would just be there temporarily, but was actually heavily involved with how the season played out. It's just a nice little twist from other things we have seen. A thing I've loved as the seasons go on is how involved Gemma Simmons was in the field. Despite her being really important to how this season plays out, she's always on the Zephyr and never out in the field, so It was just a little bit of a disappointment for me. I would have liked to see her in the field a bit more. She does do it once or twice, but for like literally the second half of the season, she's pretty much just stuck on board, and I would have liked to see her more involved with the team. And one of the issues I have with this is the villains. You know, as they go back in time, they establish the Chronicoms as their main rival, but there is someone who's in charge of them called S.H.I.E.L.D, and in truth, she was a bit lame. Also, and this other the villain that is established later on in the season called Nathaniel, who you'll learn a bit more about. I won't say anything more as it's spoiler territory, but them two, they're a bit disappointing for the big send-off of this series. You know, in a planned season finale, it's meant to be the biggest of the bad, but it was very underwhelming. It's not the weakest villain we've had in the whole series, but it's not one of the biggest. They have faced much harder villains. I was a bit disappointed at how underwhelming the villains actually were in this season. Although this season was good, I found the finale only a bit satisfying. Everything was tied up well, everything came to its conclusion, but it didn't evoke too much emotion from me. I know it's going to be the last time we see them. I started watching this show back when season 1 came out, although I didn't start watching season 3 until the beginning of lockdown, so I've taken a lot of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D content in a short amount of time, so I would feel the emotion, but I didn't feel as much emotion as I have previously. I've said it to my good friend who is a big fan of the show that I found the ending of season 5 very powerful, and for me a very good place to end the whole show. After that, it's not like the stuff they made was bad, it was actually still good. It just felt like they carried on when they had a perfect ending right in front of them. Although a lot of the character stories didn't conclude there. Slightly disappointed about this, although it was a somewhat satisfying ending. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D finishes the whole series with another good season. It ties up everything to conclude in a nice little way. As I mentioned, the only really negative things I have to say about it were maybe the villains, but other than that, it was a very enjoyable season. And in terms of rating, I'm going to give Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D season 7 an 8 out of 10. And in terms of the series overall, I'm also going to give that an 8 out of 10. And I would recommend watching, especially if you're a Marvel fan, you're a big fan of the MCU. This is a nice little branch off from that. You can watch and see some more little stories where some of them aren't so little. But yeah, so I think it's worth a watch. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you would like to see any more Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D content, stick around. In the next few days. You'll find out where season 7 ranks amongst the others, as I'm doing an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D ranking of all the seasons. Yeah, so that should be my next video out after this. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of season 7 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Did you enjoy it, or did you not enjoy it as much? Please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that, as there has been a lot of effort put into this month as I'm getting a lot of videos out, so that would really help keep me motivated. But yeah, anyways, once again, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in that next Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D video.